Well, these dusty roads all lead up a hill. Gonna find a quiet place to just stand still, to learn about that narrow way. Let it guide the words I pray. Yeah, let it light my way.
Hello, welcome back to Dusty Roads. You're with me, Phil, and with
Karen,
Barbara,
and we're working our way through the Sermon on the Mount. We're on week 4, and this week we're going to be reading Matthew chapter 5, verses 21 through to the end of 25. Would anybody like to read that for us?
you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, do not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with his brother will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to his brother, Rakar, is answerable to the Sanhedrin. But anyone who says, you fool, will be in danger of the fire of hell. Therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember your brother has something against you, leave these gifts there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled with your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Settle matters quickly with your adversary, who is taking you to court. Do it while you are still with him on the way, or he may hand you over to the judge, and the judge may hand you over to the officer, and you may be thrown into prison. I tell you the truth, you will not get out until you have paid the last penny.
What jumps out at that?
Goes back to the old Sunday school hymn, isn't it? About first take the plank out of your own eye.
yes, yeah.
It's easy to be sanctimonious in church when you go to a service and then come out and gossip about everybody else that was in there.
Exactly, yes. It's that sort of thing that gives the church a bad name, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it many times. You're all hypocrites.
Yeah.
You do one thing and say another, or vice versa.
And nobody's perfect. You just try and do the best thing.
That's right.
I think it's really interesting that it's in this chunk here, isn't it? Because actually I think the do not judge message, I think that is society as a whole knows that Jesus said do not judge. So as you were saying, we get accused of being hypocrites if people come into church and feel judged as a part of it. So it's actually some of the power behind what Jesus is saying. But it's interesting that he's saying this in amongst giving some rules.
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting kind of ballast, kind of tightrope, isn't it? That it's not our place to judge, but not being the people to judge doesn't mean there aren't rules to follow, which I suppose is touching a little bit on last time out. But it's not your place to judge, so don't worry if people murder. It's like murder is wrong. It's just not your place to cast aspersions on people.
It's really difficult to know where to draw the line, really. I mean, if you've had a row with your neighbour and it's possibly something what might appear to be reasonably petty, as opposed to somebody you've done a really, really bad wrong to. So where do you seek repentance for either case? But some are more in need of repentance than others.
But it's not just repentance, though, is it? It's looking to put the situation right.
Yes.
Like it says here, if you're going to court, settle before.
Yes.
So, if you have an argument with somebody, you try and sort it out before it becomes so big that you can't do anything about it.
There's a lot to in there about seeing the other person's point of view.
Yes.
Which is not an easy thing to do when you're set in your own entrenchment of what you think is right. It can be really difficult. You see it a lot with deep-rooted things in families, don't you?
Yes.
Particularly when we're with them at sensitive times like death or weddings. Oh, well, she's not coming or he's not coming because, 99 years ago they fell out over whatever it was.
Probably can't even remember what it was initially.
No, probably not.
Yeah, there's this apocryphal story about someone arriving in a church as the vicar and discovering half of the village won't talk to the other half of the village. No one knows why, and they do some research and stuff, and it turns out one side of the village were royalists and the other side were parliamentarians in the Civil War.
Yeah.
And just that passing on, we don't talk to them for generation after generation. They don't know why, they just don't. I'm not sure if that story's true, but...
Well, I wouldn't doubt it, actually.
No.
Because we've had it in this benefice. One village, people stopped going to church because one vicar, 4 vicars ago, refused to marry their daughter because their daughter had been married before.
Yeah, but it is interesting, this whole judgment thing, because I think it's, again, especially in light of last time out, we were talking about the rules. I've not come to change any of the rules, weren't we? It's sort of a shift, isn't it, from he's still using legalistic language, but he's injecting a bit of nuance into the discussion, isn't he? So with the bit where it says, if you call someone racker, you're accountable to the council or the Sanhedrin, I think Barbara's translation said. Whereas if you call them a fool, you're going to be on the gates of hell. So what he's shifting from is just blindly obeying the rules. So I won't say this word to slag off my neighbour because that's specifically been outlawed by the law. I'll use this different word to slag them off and then I'll be fine. And what he's saying, actually, it's not about just obeying the rules and keeping within the letter of the law, but actually completely ignoring the spirit of the law. It's actually about understanding what the law is about and then living lives that reflect that.
But there's also some practical advice, isn't there, about whatever you're going to give to the church, you're not in a right place to give that, whatever it is, to the church until you've sorted yourself out.
Yes.
And if you're taking somebody to court over some dispute, you have the courtesy to try and sort it out before it goes in front of whoever it is that's judging you. So there is that to it as well.
Which is profoundly challenging, isn't it?
It
It's
is.
saying,
Definitely.
actually, I don't want you to pretend everything is okay by having obeyed the letter of the law. I want you to come into church with your heart in the right place. Don't just jump through hoops.
And don't pass on your responsibilities if you've done wrong to whoever is judging you in a court. Sort it out yourself. And that's with God's grace and Christian love. And that's probably one of the hardest things to do.
But I suppose it's one of the most radically freeing parts of the Christian gospel, though, isn't it? That actually, speak for myself here, I don't think I'm alone in this. Like, sometimes we break Jesus on the cross down to actually Jesus died to save me from my sin, and we kind of turn it into this personal salvation story. But actually, if Jesus died on the cross to take away sin, then actually that has a profound communal effect. That actually, because of Jesus on the cross, we can forgive each other. We can be reconciled in our relationships. And actually, through Jesus' humility on the cross, he offers us a way for us as a diverse church that hack each other off a lot to actually find common ground, find grace, and be able to do the things that he's asking people to do, of not judging, sorting yourself out before, sorting your heart out before launching into where other people are at.
But I think humility is the word, because it takes a lot of humility not to be the big confident I am person, bulldoze your way into taking somebody to court or giving or leaving at the altar what the church needs. It's having humility to say, no, I'm not in the right state of mind to be doing that. I'll reconcile myself first. And it's that humility that we can't always find.
And that humility, it comes by kind of surrendering of the heart, isn't it? And actually saying, let's examine what's going on here and bring that before God.
It's stopping and thinking.
This touches on what you guys had in terms of pastoral care training. Actually, when I look back at my college, there was not as much of it as you'd think.
No.
But one of the things I remember talking about at college is how actually quite often, if someone's upset about something, actually quite often it's not the thing they're telling you they're upset about that they're actually upset about. And I think, so the example we were taught at college is the conflict that emerged because a vicar asked a church warden to arrange for the locks to be changed. And they dragged their heels and they got a big conflict. But it's only actually when you step back and look at it and they realise that actually the issue was the church warden's grandfather had built the door and he didn't want to drill into the door. So actually it's presented as this power dynamic between the church warden and the vicar, but actually it's a pastoral issue about that church warden still grieving a loved family member. And actually you don't get to that heart with that superficial just judging other people. You only get to the solution when you're open and honest and open your hearts together and see what's going on underneath, and that is how you come. That's part of coming under God, isn't it? And actually coming before God together and letting Him kind of help you discern what is going on, and actually that brings reconciliation and peace in a way that just drawing battle lines and saying, I'm the vicar, I'm in charge, they should do it, or I'm the warden, I was elected, he should do what I want him to do. That's the humility and that's the opening the heart that we were talking about, wasn't it?
Yeah, it definitely comes back to humility. And it's listening, isn't it, again?
Yeah,
and taking the time to listen.
Yes, something we're not always very good at.
No. It's like, it's often quoted about GPs when you go to the doctor, you tell him all about your cold or your verruca or something, and as you've got your hand on the door going out, you come out with something far more serious, which you actually hadn't managed to talk about. And it's giving people that time and the space to open up.
It's actually quite counter to the way the world seems to run at the moment, isn't it? I think we're in a very output-driven world, aren't we? We do our financial transactions to pay our tax, to get our car MOT, to get this service, to eat this, or whatever. But actually, this is about a more holistic approach of actually people being people rather than processes. But in our online, bureaucratic, busy world, sometimes people become not people, they become interactions with a specific output.
There was a programme on Radio 4 earlier today that was half listening to. It was all about well-being and how life shouldn't always be about transactions, it should be about how you feel. And apparently the well-being industry is worth over £3.3 trillion. But what do you do to ensure well-being? Apart from spend a lot of money and buy a lot of books and podcasts.
Yeah, doing that in isolation doesn't actually bring well-being.
No.
Does it? Relationships are such an important part of our, good mental health and our physical health, actually.
Yes.
Being able to have somebody that you can go and talk to and know that what you're saying is just going to be between the two of you.
Yes.
It's confidential. Very few people have that, I think.
Yeah.
And the rise in the level of anxiety in our country, especially in the younger people, is really concerning. But I'm not sure that we do enough about that to help them.
I think in a lot of places that's where chaplaincy comes in. Because a lot of universities and colleges now have a chaplain.
Yes.
And a lot of industries have a chaplain. It's whether people take advantage of it or whether they think, oh, they're just people that want to peddle religion at me. They don't realise that it's a confidential listening and supporting service without necessarily being over religious.
But going back to the books and the podcasts you mentioned, Barbara, and the wellness industry, it's a more competitive marketplace for that. So they've grown up in a church, they might think of the church as somewhere, or they might think, oh, that's the place of a counsellor, or that's the place of a life coach, or so you end up with this kind of fragmented picture of actually who do I go for that? And there's maybe something darkly ironic about the thought that you might have young people who are really stressed about finances and money and paying the mortgage, and thinking, I want to talk to someone about this, but the appropriate person is the £80 an hour person, and I can't afford to speak to that person, and so so that actually becomes a burden in and of itself. Whereas this is really radical, isn't it? That actually everybody's meant to listen to each other.
Yes.
It assumes a connected community in a way that we have become disconnected.
Yes.
I think some communities are better than others. Since I was in Warwick Hospital, I've noticed there how the nurses all supported each other. And I know through my daughter, if all else fails, they will support each other and talk to each other. And they go through some really tough times. And I noticed that the chaplains at the hospital didn't just come to the people who asked for them, they actually stopped and talked to the staff as well. So the staff were aware that there was a chaplain, whether they wanted to talk to them at that time or not. But they are quite a cohesive band, whereas some industries aren't.
No, that's true.
I suppose the point is that the church doesn't have the monopoly on community.
No.
You find community in all sorts of places, and I think this talk about work community, I think maybe there's about vocation, that actually if you're training to be a midwife or a nurse or a doctor, you're committing long term to a career and you're in it for the long haul, and you'll probably stick around the same people for a length of time. And similarly with farming, if you've got a farm and you're committing to this land, you'll be in that community, and as clergy you kind of committed to that.
Absolutely.
Whereas when I think about my previous jobs before ordination, you were there for 2 or 3 years until you move on to the next place for the next, so it's a bit more nomadic. But you do get pubs that have their regulars.
Yes.
You do get the University of the Third Age was where my grandparents used to get a lot of. So you do get these little pockets of community.
Don't hear about that so much these days, do you?
What, UAE? Yeah, it's 1 or 2 people I know that are part of it.
But I think maybe it's a stark realisation, actually, the church doesn't have the resources it used to have. As we were saying earlier, I can't walk around our 8 parishes. And actually, we mentioned pubs as a source of community, but actually pubs are really struggling.
That's right.
Yes.
At the moment. So actually, we're in a society that a lot of the key community builders are kind of fracturing, which is possibly why we're struggling. But I think maybe the sense of hope, though, is that whilst, yes, we said the church is struggling with some resources, in our passage we can see Jesus saying actually community matters.
Yes.
And actually community is the basis for this faith in me.
Yes.
You know, actually Jesus is bringing us community, and if we believe the church is God's, you know, what Jesus says, the gates of Hades will not overcome it. Actually, I think we can believe that whilst we don't have the monopoly on community, the church has the tools to get community right in a way that makes the church, and so by extension the gospel and Jesus, the answer to these issues. Maybe we need the confidence to be willing to say that. I think we can become a bit of quite meek. I know meekness was good a couple of weeks ago,
Yes.
but we can actually be back down ourselves a little bit. So the church is struggling. We can't do this. We let people down.
But to go back what we were talking about before the recording started, what people
We're
have to
opening the
realise,
curtain here.
have to realise that we are the church, not the building,
Yes.
not the people who run the building, but everybody who's a Christian in that community.
Yes.
Those people are the church.
And everyone has a responsibility,
Yeah.
not just the vicar and the church wardens, etc. Every single Christian has a responsibility to walk alongside others and, tell people about the gospel.
Or if they can't do that themselves, because they don't feel able enough, at least to put them in the right position or
Yes.
place to get some further help. Suggest places or people they could talk to, because that's the main thing. It's sharing that worry that you've got or that concern before it grows from a splinter into a plank in your eye.
Exactly, yeah.
And actually, maybe that's a good full circle place to go as we kind of put this down, that actually, as we sort of said when we first started off, actually Jesus is not being legalistic with this. It's about seeing the person rather than the legalities. So my personal reflection now is, sometimes, believe it or not, I get a little bit grumpy.
Never.
I know it's hard to believe.
Really?
But you get a little bit bogged down with a lot of the stuff that comes your way. But actually, there's something really quite freeing to actually, my job's not about the stuff.
No.
And if you're listening to this and you're one of the amazing people that looks after our buildings,
Thank you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that is valued. Having said that, the building's not why we're here. And actually, if we're getting stressed out about the building to the extent that we don't have time to read our Bibles, then something's wrong there. And I think that's where this really speaks to me now, that actually don't stress the stuff, stress what matters. And actually with that, in that context, things tend to fall into place, I think.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us in this conversation. I hope you'll join us next week as we continue along this dusty road through the Sermon on the Mount.
Well, these dusty roads all lead up a hill. Gonna find a quiet place to just stand still, to learn about that narrow way. Let it guide the words I pray.